We're going to pivot now in our capital campaign series, Firm Foundation, Faithful Future. For the previous 6 weeks, we have been looking at the incredible foundation that we have in our God. For these last 3 weeks, we're going to look forward to our faithful future as we go forward as the people of God. We're going to be talking about transitions today. Life has its fair share of transitions. Some transitions are positive, some are negative. Some transitions are small, some transitions in life are seismic. Some transitions are planned, we can see them coming. Other transitions in life blindside us. Here are just some of the transitions that came to my mind. Retirement is a transition. While many see it as this great season of kind of rest and leisure, for many, I've been told it's quite challenging. If you spend your whole life focused and dedicated to a career, and then one day that is over, who am I without my occupation and work? New parents, every day is a transition in itself, and I remember how even the college friends, once we were married and had children, also started to treat us differently. We were now an older family, not young college friends. Empty nesting, a significant loss. My mom shared that one of the hardest things in her widowhood is actually the evenings, when not too many elderly people go out at night, and you're there in the darkness and the stillness alone. Starting driving, having to stop driving, new church, new job, in between jobs, divorce, blended family, change in health, moving, going off to college. Life has ample transitions. What's a synonym for transition? Change. And how many Lutherans does it take to change a light bulb? One. And 99 to stand around and say how nice the old one was. But change really has 3 different seasons. In every change, there is usually an ending of some kind of whatever that normal was. Then there's this middle, not here, not there. And then in the latter part of change, there is this new beginning. What is usually the most challenging part of change? It's the hairy, scary, uncertain middle. We're not here yet, but we are also not here. And what will the new here be like? What is that new normal going to look like? And so when we are in that middle, it can be a very heightened time of fear and doubt and anxiety and a whole host of emotions and stress. Does anyone else sense that St. Peter right now is in the middle? That we are at this turning point in our generation. We are now to pledge weekend. We are no longer here in the capital campaign, but we are also not over here at the finish. And how much will be pledged and given? What will the final cost of over here look like? Will we get to phase 2 and building a new school wing for our children? Will we even push into phase 3 and some new preschool classrooms and an enlarged, nice new center playground and pavilion area? What will St. Peter look like in 10 years from now? What will our Arlington Heights community look like 10 years from now? And so while we are in this middle, there can be both feelings of excitement and also being a little unsettled at the same time. We're going to look at Joshua 1 this morning. Where do you think God's people are? They are right in the big, hairy, scary middle of a major transition and change. But it's exactly right there that God himself comes to Joshua and his people, and God gives them words of hope and assurance and boldness. And these words still guide us in whatever transitions we face today. Let's look at verses 1 and 2. We are told, after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord said to Joshua, who had been Moses' assistant, "Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, cross this Jordan, you and this people, to the land which I am giving them." Do you see this seismic transition here in the history of Israel? Let me show you where they are at on the map. Down in the lower right, Moses has gone up to Mount Nebo. The Israelites are camped in the big circle there on the east side of the Jordan River. The Promised Land is on the west side of that Jordan River, where you see Jericho circled in the top left. The Israelites were used to Moses going up on mountains to speak with God and even be there for many days before coming back. Only this time was different. Moses went up on Mount Nebo to speak with God, but this time he did not come back down. Their leader, the only leader they had known for the last 4 decades, the very one who led them out of Egypt, crossed the Red Sea on dry ground, led them to the base of Mount Sinai, interceded before God on their behalf, the one who saw the manna come down in the morning to feed his people every day, and quail to come down in the evening, the very one who spoke to a rock, and enough water came out of that rock to give drink to over 2 million people and all of their livestock. The one who wrote down the first 5 books of the Bible for them and led them to within eye shot of the Promised Land is now gone. And here we have a very well-known but brand new leader. And God says to Joshua, "Arise, stand up. You and all this people cross this Jordan." For the first 12 years of pastoral ministry, we lived in Buffalo, New York, less than 15 miles from the Niagara Falls. And as you might know, when you live near a big attraction, we only went there when our children had field trips or when company came in town. But one of the things I remember very vividly about going to the Niagara Falls was long before you actually see the falls, You hear the mighty thunder, the roar of 750,000 gallons a second pouring over that rock ledge, tumbling 190 feet to the Niagara River gorge below. And it is powerful. When God appears to Joshua and says, "Stand up, cross this Jordan, you and all this people," what do we know about the Jordan River this time of year? Here are a couple normal pictures of the Jordan River. Generally relatively quiet and calm, about 80 to 100 feet wide on average. But during the spring rains in April, the Jordan River becomes this. Joshua 3 tells us the Jordan River in chapter 1 looks like that. So now put yourselves on the banks of the Jordan. You are hearing the mighty roar of those waters behind you, maybe even over a mile wide as it's overflowing its banks. And God tells Joshua, "Arise, cross that Jordan, you and all the 2 million people with you, into the land that I am giving you." You see, with our God, nothing, even those waters, are ever too wonderful or too impossible for Him. And I pray that whatever transition you might be facing right now, you believe that too. In the next couple verses, the Lord tells Joshua the size of the gift that He is giving them. The border stretching all the way north and all the way south and all the way east on the other side, their present side of the Jordan, and all the way westward to the Mediterranean Sea. And as God is describing the vastness of this gift, God says this to Joshua in verse 5. "No man shall be able to stand before you all the days of your life. Just as I was with Moses, so I will be with you, Joshua. I will not drop you or forsake you." Just as I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I'm going to show you a picture, and I want you to think what you see. I want you to ignore our son's car in the driveway, and I want you to ignore our neighbor's house across the street. But just at the picture itself, what do you notice? I want to start with the rear view mirror. Notice in our text how God points Joshua to look in the rear view mirror. Just as I was with Moses, so I will be with you. Just as I was with Moses in that burning bush. Just as I was with Moses when you crossed the Red Sea on completely dry ground. Just as I was with Moses and that pillar of cloud by day and that pillar of fire by night. Just as I was with Moses and the water was undrinkable, so he tossed a log in that water and it became sweet for them to drink. So Joshua, I will be with you. See, God's presence and His promises do not die with the death of Moses. And Yahweh literally says in the text, "I will not drop you." That word drop in the Old Testament is used of hay being dropped down into a burning fire. It's used of a soldier dropping the girdle from his waist. It's used of a hand that is dropping down. That's the image for us. I will not drop you in this transition. Whatever you are facing, God never fumbles what He holds dear in His hands. Let's go back to that picture one more time. We've noticed the rear view mirror. Does anything else stand out? How about the far vast larger size of the front windshield in comparison to the size of the rear view mirror? While God directed Joshua to look in the mirror behind him, as I was with Moses, I will be with you, God also points Joshua to the giant windshield of promise before him. Be strong and be bold. You will cause this people to inherit all of that land I swore to give them. See, there's something for us here as well. I've known too many churches, even Lutheran, in the 21st century trying to do ministry out of their rear view mirror. Oh, do you remember the glory days here? Oh, if only we had that one pastor or staff person. If only we still did this like we used to. If only in worship it was like this. Oh, do you remember those days? And oh, if we can maybe even go back. How well would it go with you after worship if you wanted to take Arlington Heights Road north to Buffalo Grove and you only drove forward using your rear view mirror? How would that go for you? See, even as the people of God today, we cannot get caught fixing our gaze in the rear view mirror while God has this entire front windshield of gospel opportunity before us for our school and our church. Be strong and be bold. You will cause this people to inherit the land I swore to their fathers. Joshua, look at the size of that front windshield. And God even tells him again in verse 9, have I not commanded you? Be strong and be bold. Do not be frightened. Do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Even as Joshua was being charged to take God's people into uncharted land with mighty armies and big obstacles, where was their confidence? We know where it wasn't. It wasn't in Joshua's years of apprenticeship under Moses. It wasn't in Joshua's impressive resume. It wasn't in his skills or his charismatic. But into this large windshield of unknown promise. God's children always rest in the unfailing presence of our God. That's the answer, isn't it, to all of life's transitions? Whether it's picking a college, losing those driving privileges, a change in health, a relocation, or something with the family, the final answer is always the unfailing presence of our God. And is anything in life's transitions more certain than the promises of Yahweh? Have I not commanded you? Be strong, be bold, do not be frightened, do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And guess after our text what happened next? The waters of that raging Jordan River stopped. And all of his 2 million people and possessions and animals crossed on dry ground. And when they came to the impenetrable city of Jericho, those walls came tumbling down, and they walked right into victory. And in the heat of a very large battle, when daylight was fading, Joshua prayed, and the sun stopped until that battle was won. And by the end of Joshua, God divides that entire land between all of the 12 tribes of Israel, just as he had said. Now, I know that some of you might be thinking, man, that is great for Joshua and the Israelites. But what about little ordinary me in Illinois in 2025? Let me tell you that God does not just repeat this promise to you, but he forever heightens it in his Son, Jesus Christ. That by God's grace, we follow an even greater Joshua. What is the Hebrew name for Jesus? Yahshua. Joshua. It's the same name. Where was Joshua commissioned? The banks of the Jordan River. Where was Jesus commissioned? The banks of the Jordan River when he was baptized by John. What was Joshua's mission? To lead God's people into the promised land and defeat her enemies. What was Jesus' mission? To lead his people into the promised land of the Father's house and defeat our greatest enemies of sin, death, and the devil. And Jesus did that. The new Joshua, even when it cost him his own life in the process. But he rose again on Easter morning. You see, we follow a new and even greater Joshua today. And this means that whatever transitions you or St. Peter might be facing right now, all of God's promises are ours in his Son. Do not be dismayed. Do not be frightened. Be bold and be strong. I will not drop you in life or in death. I am with you in my word. I am with you in my supper. I am with you every time you pray to me. I am with you when you gather for Christian fellowship. I am with you in your very heart, and I am with you in the power of my Holy Spirit, and I will be with you wherever you go. Amen. Some questions we'll have on the screen during upper room time. Are you, like St. Peter, in a season of transition? And then how do God's promises to Joshua and in Jesus reshape how you and we will go boldly forward?